My engagement party was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. The room was filled with soft music, flickering candles, and the smell of roses and champagne. People were laughing, sipping cocktails, and congratulating me and Daniel, the man I loved, the man I'd spent 6 years building a life with. But behind all the smiles and clinking glasses, my family was plotting something unforgivable. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. It started 2 weeks before the party when my mother called me into the kitchen with her fake, gentle voice, the one she always used when she wanted something big. "You know your brother's wedding is coming up," she said, adjusting her necklace like she was preparing for war. "And you haven't really done anything with that $100,000 Grandpa left you for your own wedding." I stiffened. "Because I'm saving it for my wedding." "Well, Justin's wedding is first," she smiled, sickly sweet. "And he really wants that resort in Cancun. It would mean the world if you'd let us borrow the money." I blinked. "You want me to give him my wedding fund?" "Not give." My father chimed in from the doorway. "Just lend it. You and Daniel can have a backyard thing. You're not flashy anyway." I stared at them both. "You want me to downsize my future for his big party?" Mom scowled. "It's not about you, Ava. Your brother is the only son, and he's marrying into the Thompsons. They have real connections." "And what about Daniel?" "About me?" I asked, stunned. "You'll understand when you're older," Dad said coldly, then walked out like the conversation was over. But I didn't give in. For 2 weeks, the tension at home was unbearable. They tried guilt. They tried manipulation. Mom even cried and told the extended family I was refusing to help my brother in his time of need. I ignored the side eyes and silent judgments. Daniel kept telling me, "You don't owe them your future, Ava." And I believed him for once. I chose myself. But I never expected them to retaliate like that. The night of the engagement party, everything was perfect, until my brother showed up late, clearly drunk, and tossed his blazer onto a guest chair like the whole night was his. My father gave him a nod, then scanned the room for me. When he saw me standing near the cake with Daniel's arm around my waist, his face darkened. He approached slowly like a man trying to look calm while holding back rage. "We need to talk," he said through gritted teeth. "In the middle of my engagement," I said. "You're embarrassing this family," he hissed, grabbing my arm. Daniel stepped forward. "Sir, with all due respect," but my dad shoved him back. "Stay out of it." The music cut. Every guest turned as my father's voice rose. "You selfish brat. You owe your brother everything, and this party you don't deserve it." I tried to pull away, but he gripped my wrist tighter, his eyes wild. "Give him the damn money or I swear." And then it happened. He slapped me open-handed in front of 50 people. My earring flew off. My head turned with the force and time just stopped. My mother gasped, but not in horror, more like embarrassment. Justin laughed nervously and sipped his drink. Daniel rushed to my side, holding my face, trembling with fury. "You just hit your daughter," he said, shaking. "On her engagement. She brought it on herself," my dad snapped. "She's ungrateful. We raised her, and this is how she repays us." I stood there holding my burning cheek, staring at a man who just shattered the last piece of me that wanted to be part of that family. I didn't cry, not then. Instead, I turned to Daniel and whispered, "Let's go." We left the party without another word. The silence behind us was deafening. I could feel the judgment, the whispers, the scandal beginning to bloom like a bruise. But I didn't care because something inside me had snapped in the most powerful way. They wanted to take my future. Fine, I would take theirs, and I knew exactly where to start. The next morning my cheeks still ached, but it wasn't the sting that haunted me. It was the silence. No calls, no apologies, not from my mom, not from my dad, not even from Justin. They acted like nothing had happened. Daniel made me eggs and coffee, trying to keep things normal, but I could see the tension in his jaw. "You need to do something," he said softly. "This isn't just about a slap. They humiliated you and they'll keep doing it." I nodded, but I already had a plan. I'd been holding on to something. A piece of paperwork from years ago that my parents probably forgot existed. See, my grandfather left me $100,000 for my wedding. But that wasn't all. Before he passed, he quietly transferred the deed of their house, his original property, to me. He said, "One day they'll forget your blood. When they do, you'll need something that reminds you you're not powerless." Back then, I didn't fully understand, but now I did. I pulled the file from a locked drawer. There it was. Property deed, title holder, Ava Jennings, signed, stamped, untouched. They didn't know I was the legal owner of their home. They thought it was still in my grandfather's name, or perhaps jointly theirs after the estate settled. But Grandpa had bypassed the entire process. He never trusted them. He trusted me. I made some calls. My lawyer, a kind but fierce woman named Lenora, reviewed the documents and confirmed everything. "You have full legal authority to sell this home," she said. "If you want to proceed, just say the word." I didn't say yes. Not yet, because I wanted them to see it coming. First, I sent them a formal notice in an elegant gold-embossed envelope notifying them of a change in ownership review. No threat, just a reminder. 2 days later, Mom called. "Ava, what is this envelope?" she asked, her voice sharp. "Oh," I said. "It's about the house," she scoffed. "We've lived here for 20 years. You can't just—" "I can, actually," I said. "I own it. Grandpa left it to me, not to you, not to Dad." Silence. "You don't mean to evict us," she whispered, suddenly not so smug. I smiled bitterly. "I mean to give you the same amount of consideration you gave me when Dad slapped me in front of 50 guests, and you stood there like I deserved it." She tried the guilt again. "But where will we go? Your father's health isn't what it used to be. We've built our life in this house, and I was building mine," I said, "until you tried to gut it for a beach wedding, and then watched your husband hit your daughter." That's when the screaming started. She cursed me, called me ungrateful, evil, said she should have never had me. I let her rage until she was breathless. Then I said, "You have 30 days. Click. I wasn't done. Daniel and I went to Justin's wedding, invited only because I hadn't formally gone public yet. I showed up in a sleek white pantsuit, my cheek healed, my eyes colder than ice. My brother smirked at me during the reception like nothing had happened. "Glad you could finally show your face," he said. I leaned in. "I hope you enjoy the honeymoon," I whispered. "Because when you get back, Mom and Dad won't have a home to welcome you." He laughed until he realized I wasn't joking. 2 weeks later, the final documents went through. I sold the house, not to just anyone, but to a developer who planned to bulldoze and rebuild. The notice was posted on their front door in bright red. "Property sold. Vacate within 14 days. My phone rang nonstop. I didn't answer. When they showed up at my doorstep in tears, I let them stand on the lawn. "You think this is fair?" my dad shouted. "No," I said, but neither was slapping me at my engagement or choosing a son over a daughter for 28 years. "We gave you everything," he growled. "You took everything," I corrected. "Now I'm just returning the favor." They begged. For the first time in my life, they begged me, but I had already moved on. I watched them drive away in silence, their entire life packed in the back of Justin's SUV. It wasn't revenge, it was justice, and it was only the beginning. 3 months after I sold the house, life was calm, but I wasn't done healing. The world assumed I was doing fine, that I'd moved on from the betrayal. But trauma doesn't vanish just because the deed is filed and the locks are changed. The truth is, I spent nights questioning whether I went too far, whether revenge was just masking old wounds. But then the letter arrived. It was addressed in my mother's handwriting, mailed, not emailed, as if shame was too heavy for a digital message. I let it sit unopened on my kitchen counter for 2 days. When I finally read it, the words stung like glass. "We raised you. We loved you. You're destroying your family out of spite. You sold our home, your home, and now your father's health is declining. You've made your point. Are you proud of yourself?" No apology, no acknowledgement of what they did. To me, just guilt. I burned the letter in a fire pit that night. Daniel stood beside me, silently, handing me the lighter. He didn't need to say anything. His presence told me everything I needed. I wasn't wrong to walk away. The world, though, kept turning. 2 weeks later, I got an unexpected call from a familiar number. Gregory Harper, CEO of a prestigious consulting firm where I'd interned in college. I hadn't heard from him in years. "Ava," he said warmly, "I've been following your work with the nonprofit. Your latest housing equity project is brilliant. We're opening a new branch in Seattle. I want you to lead it." I nearly dropped the phone. "You're offering me an executive role." "Yes," he said. "Full control, full salary, and full freedom." I took it. That night, Daniel and I packed boxes for our move to Seattle. I glanced around our apartment one last time, not because I'd miss it, but because it symbolized the life I built on my own. Tease into my new role. A company gala was held in Los Angeles. I returned to town to speak on stage, unaware that my speech would go viral. I shared my story, not every ugly detail, but enough. I spoke about generational betrayal, about the myth of unconditional love, about how sometimes the people who raise you also try to erase you. The room was silent until it exploded in applause. When I stepped off stage, a young woman stopped me near the elevator. "Your story saved me," she said, tearing up. "My dad made me give up my savings for my brother's law school, and I thought I was the problem. But now I know I'm not." I hugged her. I didn't need validation, but it reminded me my pain had purpose. 2 weeks later, I returned to my childhood town briefly for a real estate visit. As fate would have it, I ran into my brother Justin outside a strip mall. He was thinner, disheveled, eyes darker. He blinked when he saw me step out of the black SUV. "Oh, so the rumors were true," he muttered. "Which ones?" I smiled. "That you sold the house just to prove a point." I tilted my head. "Number I sold it because you beat me there first for years. He looked away. Mom's been crashing on my couch. That must be fun, I said. Maybe next time she'll bring a belt. He flinched. You really changed? No, I said, stepping closer. You just underestimated how quiet I can be when I'm planning my comeback. He didn't have a reply. Back in Seattle, things grew brighter. I launched a women's initiative for survivors of family betrayal. I named it the second room for all the daughters who were told they'd never deserve the first. At the grand opening, I gave one final speech. I was beaten at my own engagement, but that wasn't the day I broke. It was the day I began to rebuild. We are not what they did to us. We are what we build from it. Applause, tears, hope. My parents, I never saw them again. But every now and then, I imagine them driving past the spot where their house